So I know I'm really just logging this for the first time, but here's the Kirito sword so far. This is after the layering of the paper that made the template, so that white part there. And then after I layered on the toothpicks. Now as you can see, unlike the other guy, I'm not too good with an X-Acto knife. I mean, if you look right here, look at how jagged the edges are. I'm kind of just playing it off as nobody's gonna notice them, to be honest. But yeah, as you can see, I actually didn't do the template right the first time, and that's why you can see the pencil marks. But I did it, I guess, more correctly on the other side. But yeah, so now I will be layering the paper on top of the popsicle sticks, and we will see how it goes. So far, I think this project has taken maybe 9-ish hours, and then 2 overnight things where things had to dry. Alright, so I'll keep you posted, and we'll see where it goes. Just took the last video, and now I'm taking this one. So this wasn't in the main video, sort of. But this is the point where I take the cardstock and pretty much trace the template out. Because I thought it would have been easier to just use the template that was provided. And don't get me wrong, it helped when I made the original, like, 10 layers thick template. But from here, you pretty much have to draw, like, trace your design and then pretty much cut it out. That way your layers are exactly like your template. Again, I'm not like a professional cutter. This is really the first time I've ever had to use an X-Acto knife. But yeah, that would be my recommendation, considering that my template didn't come out exactly like the one that was posted online. So as you can see, well, I guess you don't really notice it that much. But yeah, if you look at like the finer edges, I'm off by like few millimeters there and whatnot. But yeah, that would be my suggestion. So I'm gonna pretty much trace out the whole thing, and then I'm gonna cut out the pieces. Alright, so let's get cracking. I just cut out the template and applied the binder clips and I keep calling them toothpicks, popsicle sticks. It was a little bit harder than I thought it would be. I mean, nothing too difficult. The real challenging part ended up being how to, like, apply everything with only 2 hands, but I mean, it worked out in the end. I think I do need to apply more binder clips, because as you can see, there is, like, a lot of empty space. My camera would focus on it. Alright, well, it's not focusing on that little tiny area, but right up in there, yeah, you can see there's a lot of empty space. So the original guy who made this, he did say to leave the template without, like, the circles cut in, like right there. I'll have to second that. I cut it without realizing that it would have been easier to leave them filled and then cut out the circle once I added them, because if you look from the opposite end, there are actually some spots that are still sticking out, like that one little part, like right there. It's sticking out a little bit, and I'll have to go back and cut that off. Or like right there, that's actually a better example, because you can see the glue where I tried to apply it. But yeah. So I'm pretty much going to do this with the rest of the sword and let you guys know if I run into any difficulties or if it ended up being harder than it looked in the video. Okay? Hang tight. Of the binder clips from this part of the sword. As you can see, I did end up folding it a little bit. But I mean, who's really going to notice after you apply the black paint? It is a little off-centered, if you see right there where it doesn't line up. But again, it's not going to be that big of a deal, to be honest, in the long run. Because who's going to be looking at this and be like, oh, hey, I want to buy your sword even though it's got like a messed up thing at the creek. Anyways, yep, I'm just going to keep doing this throughout the entire thing. Something I thought of that I ended up opting out against was trying to overlap it so that it looks a little less messy around the edges. But no, that wouldn't make any sense, because then you have these bulgy parts. So yeah, I'm just gonna trace it pretty much like this all the way down, and then cut it out and use the binder clips and glue to put it together. So let's see how that ends up. The binder clips, I did not apply them fast enough, and the paper is not stuck to the template. So what I'm gonna try and do and fix it is I'm gonna take the tip of the glue stick, pretty much just pour glue into this empty slit right here, and then I'm just gonna patch it up and put the popsicle sticks on there. Holy crap! Not even done with the first half, and it's taken so long. I've had to do so much patchwork on the sides, like let's see if I can get a good zoom on it. I've had to do so much patchwork on the sides, and pretty much had to put glue inside of it, and then had to flatten it out with the whole popsicle stick and everything. But yeah, I mean, so far so good. Like right there, I gotta just pour glue in that and then squeeze that back down. But yeah, it's been like not even an hour actually. But yeah, this is taking a while. All right, back to work. So another problem came up. So one of the problems that I came into while I was doing this was that actually I stacked so many popsicle sticks to make the thickness of the sword that when I tried to put the paper over it, I ended up, how do you say, pretty much, it was so thick that the paper, there wasn't enough paper on the ends in order to really efficiently glue it down. Or at least using the popsicles ended up being too thick, and then the binder clips would always snap off, and it was really getting aggravating. So what I ended up doing is using Chipotle napkins instead to make sure that the binder clips didn't like puncture the paper. And I mean, so far so good. It's working. So hopefully this doesn't cause a lot of dents in the side of the blade, but I will get back to you on that. After much struggle and much difficulty, I finally got the blade all the way down to the end. Unfortunately, as you can see some of these nicks here, so the Chipotle napkins didn't really work out exactly as planned, but to be honest, it's not that big of a deal because I'm just going to go over it in white paint and just cover it up and try to get rid of some of it with a knife if I can. And yeah, there's some excess parts here, like if you could see right there, there's just some extra sticking out. I'm just going to use the knife to pretty much just cut those parts off, so hopefully it looks a little bit cleaner. A problem I ran into is if the clips ever made like really ugly indents on the paper, like I mean, a little example would be like right there. I mean, you could barely see it, but you definitely see that the paper clip weighed down on it, or not the paper clip, the binder clip weighed down on it a little bit. I had to put a whole nother sheet over, and sometimes that led to weird like laying over like that. So this one panel is significantly thicker than the rest of the whole thing. But yeah, I'm not that worried about that, to be honest. Like, a little thickness is better than it having all these really nasty bumps from the binder clips. And yeah, there's a good reason that this part wasn't shown, because this was so difficult. Like, I didn't get all what's it called? All the parts that I was going to put over the template, I didn't get them all perfectly sized, so I had to cut a little bit extra off of the edges. And yeah, this part was really difficult. Like, man, much more difficult than I thought. If you're a beginner at crafting, I'd say make a wider sword, or at least don't use 3 layers of popsicle sticks to give it any depth, because that's just going to make it so much harder to add glue to like the sides right here. But yeah, so I'm almost done here, so hopefully it'll look good, and hopefully it'll be ready by the convention this weekend.